Hello, we will be discussing the basics of global communication. What is the need for communication for the managers to understand how communication between culturally different people is to be undertaken? What are the norms of different people from different cultures, and why is it necessary to have a different perception and a different understanding of communication when you are communicating with people situated at globally distant places? Now, the increase in international business dealings and in the diversity of the workforce has created communication challenges. Businesses have become such that you are producing in one place, you are resourcing in one another country, you are selling in another country, and everything is all spread about in the various all over the world. For example, Mercedes, where they're only in Switzerland it is assembled, but the different parts are manufactured in different places. The assembling is done only in the main country. So this is just one example. Now, how has this happened? This has happened because of the information technology. The advent of information technology has revolutionized the whole manufacturing procedure, the whole business procedure, and it has turned the whole world into one small global village. Because of their interactions with people from different part of the world, the workforce has henceforth become culturally diverse. You have to, even as an Indian manager, supposing you have to communicate with a person in America. If you're selling your product, your services in America, you have to interact with them. If you're selling your product or services in Saudi Arab, you have to interact with people in Saudi Arab, you have to interact with people with Japan, China, and so forth. Now, people from all these different backgrounds have different perceptions of things. They have different perceptions of language. They have different perceptions of non-verbal communication. They have different mindsets. Their thought processes are different. They understand things differently because of their cultural background. They have grown up in a different environment. Now, the business environment has become global, and the workforce has become culturally diverse. I have just explained that you have to communicate with people from different cultures, different backgrounds, henceforth different perceptions and different mindsets and different perceptions, different understanding of the non-verbal norms. All this has happened because of the development of the information technology and computers. Computers that change the communication within and among multinational and transactional corporations. Technological advances such as internet and portable communication devices has made transmission of information and data faster, and organizations are turning into e-organizations. You're sitting in one place, in one country, you can communicate instantly through video conferencing to people in various countries. You can have a combined meeting. A number of people can sit together and have a combined meeting with various people, and this is possible because of the information technology. The internet, you immediately can contact people. There is Skype, there is Facebook. The Facebook is the social networking sites, and there are the LinkedIn, which are also the social networking sites. But because of the internet, you can send a mail immediately. Previously, it used to take you days and days to get across a document, but now through the fax machine you can send a document immediately and it will be received. You can see the diagram, the drawing, or anything, whatever needs. The hard copy also can be received. Everything you must have seen these days has become through the internet. You apply for a passport, you apply for any other thing in the organization, it is all through the net. You can do everything. You can buy. There are the e-commerce sites where you do your shopping, even your grocery shopping, through the internet. So these are just some of the examples, but basically the organizations are becoming e-organizations. The managers would be sitting at one place. There's the outsourcing, in which the the call centers, in which the calls of the different countries are taken by people sitting in another country. It could be India, it could be Bangladesh, it could be China, wherever. So because of this whole, you have to interact with people situated in the various area, different geographical locations, and to be able to communicate with them, you have to know something about their basic understanding of or of words, non-verbal communications, and their mindsets, the way they do their work, the way they do their businesses, what are their likes and dislikes, what are the laws, all this, the understanding of their corporate laws also you need to know. Now, the technological developments have led to a new business opportunities like call centers, business processes, outsourcing, data warehousing, data mining, and e-publications. You get a lot of books to read on the net. The people sometimes published when they're not able to get their books published on the by the big publishers, they publish them on the net for everybody to read. Everything is immediately, anything happens there, the Twitter, you get a response of millions of people immediately on their Twitter. Outsourcing, then outsourcing, you can hunt for people who are if you need, for example, somebody for a particular work. It could be manufacturing of bags, it could be or any services, any product or any services. You just have to look for it, hunt for it on the net, and you can see so many ads to their websites. You can tag those people, and you can outsource anything from any part of the world these days through just sitting on one table with a laptop or a computer, uh, and any portable internet device. These days you get this portable internet device while you're moving. You can work, people can work from homes. They don't necessarily have to go to offices where through their laptops and through the portable devices, through their phones also sometimes, and they can work while moving in the airports, or in the cars, or waiting for somebody at a station, or anywhere, whenever they are commuting from one place to the other. So all this has happened because of the technological developments and the new business opportunities that have come. To be successful in the global marketplace, cultural and language barriers must be minimized. So you should be able to understand the difference, the cultural differences, the understanding of the people of different cultures. Even, for example, simple words, the understanding of people about simple words would be different. Now, Japanese are people who, when they make a commitment, they do not go into too much details. They say agree to the basic concept, and then fine, they work out on the details later. But Americans, and they are on the other hand, they, when they are making a commitment, they like to work out on the details beforehand. Each and every detail needs to be written out and sorted out. Even when they are giving instructions, for example, Americans, then they will give you more very concrete, detailed and concrete instructions, so that the person is able to understand. So these are the kind of differences, besides various other differences which we will be discussing over the time. Now, what is the need for managerial communication? We all know that management is the basic crux for management is communication. You cannot run an organization, or you cannot lead a team or a group without being able to manage them well. To manage them well, you need to communicate. You will be you will need to direct them, instruct them. For that you need to communicate. You need to inform your superiors. For that you need to communicate. If you are, for example, selling persuasive, you need communication, good communication skills. If you are trying to motivate them, if motivate your employees, motivate your the people you are working with, again you need good communication skills. So you need good communication skills in every aspect of management. That is why the need is so important, that you be able to sharpen your communication skills. These days, the organizations are also hiring people. They see the basic thing, that the person is able to communicate well. His communication skills are good and his interpersonal skills are good. Because if his interpersonal skills are good, he can work in a team. He can work in a group of the within a group and a team, and be able to interact with those people, because when you're working in an organization, you do not work as a loner, you do not sit separately. So communication skills and understanding of an organizational communication is most important in for a manager. Now, going individually, the first thing one which comes to my mind is the generation, compiling, and transmission of information. When you're working in an organization, you will be generating information, you will be compiling the information, and you will be transmitting the information. It could be, for example, the sales information, how much sales were done, regional sales, or the sales of the whole, all over, everywhere in the whole total sales, or then it could be the resources, inventory information, the accounts, the financial information, any information. You will generate the data, then you will compile it as per the rules and requirements of the organization, and be transmitting and passing on the information to your superiors. Determining the competitive position of an organization. Again, this is a part of the marketing research persons. They compile the information as to how much market share they have in the that particular, it could be a product, it could be the services, and so that they can determine the competitive position of an organization. The communications of policies, decisions, directives, instructions, and are communicated from top level management to the lower level management. All the policies which the organization, the top management makes, the procedures which they decide upon, the directions that they come up with, and the instructions, they all travel from the top level management to the lower level management. The top level management first passes it on to the middle level management passes it on to the lower level management, and so forth. So this is the downward flow of communication that we are talking about. The problems, grievances, clarifications, and suggestions are communicated from the lower level management to the top level management. This is the vice versa. This is the upward flow of communication in an organization. Now remember, the flow of communication is always through regularized channels. In a formal organization, and the formal flow of communication is always through regular fixed channels which are there available. The details of these channels is available in the organizational handbooks or manuals. And whenever you join an organization, you can go through what are the channels, that is who are you responsible to, who is a person above you, who are you to inform when you have a problem or a grievance, any suggestion you want to make, and the direction and the whole organizational structure. The flow of information is always through the fixed routes of and the channels of the organization's structure. Now this is the upward flow of communication, that is your problems, your any clarifications you need, any grievances you have, you will talk to your immediate superior, and then he will pass the information to his superior, and then so on. For example, if you're a worker, you will talk to your supervisor, the supervisor will pass the information to the department head or the manager, his immediate manager, the manager will pass the information to the department head will pass the information to the manager, and the manager to the general manager, to the CEO, etc., etc. So this is the upward flow of communication. Now information is sought for coordination and transmitted laterally also among peers. This is when the information is transmitted laterally among peers, is people of the same status. This is the lateral flow of information, or horizontal flow of information between people of the same status. That is, it could be the managers of different departments. For example, the managers of different departments, they need to regularly communicate with each other so that they can coordinate the work. There is no wastefulness of the resources, and there is no wastefulness of the work, the duplication of the work which is happening. Any corrective measures are needed, can be undertaken. So when they are in contact with each other on regular basis, the work can go in coordination. What is the need of their being in coordinate? What is the need for them to coordinate with each other? Now the production department, for example, will have to be coordinated with the sales department, as well as with the research and management, research and development department, and with the finance department, because they are the ones who are passing on the finances to the research and develop to the inventory. The inventory will be giving them the raw material. The raw material will be there, only then the production will take place successfully. Then they also need to know with the to be in touch with the sales department, so that they know what is to be manufactured first, or how much sales have been done, and what is the product which is in shortage, etc. And that is the reason that they also need to be in touch with the marketing department, because so that the marketing department, you come to know what is the feedback of the consumers, what product needs any changes. So basically everybody needs to be in touch with each other, in coordination with each other, so that they can move towards the achievement of the organizational goals and not their own individual or personal goals. Now, advances in technology, the internet, the voicemail, the faxes, and the other technological advances have increased the speed, frequency, and reach of communication. The internet and extranet facilities facilitates communication among employees, managers, customers, suppliers, and investors. We all know that when you're sitting in an organization, when you're working for an organization, you will have to communicate within the organization. That is the internal communication, internal organizational communication. Besides that, there is the external communication. The external communication is the communication with the customers, the suppliers, the investors, the government bodies, the financial institutions. You have to follow the norms, the rules, the statutory requirements of the organizational communications. Whatever needs to be done, the suppliers, you need to know, you keep them happy. The reason for delayed supplies, if for example you need to be in touch with the customers as to any changes which are needed, the changes in the customers need, the likes and dislikes of the customers, because these days it is the customer is king, consumer is king. So you have to keep developing, keep adapting your products and services according to the needs of the consumer. And so you have to be in touch with the customers, consumers, to maintain your market share. Then you have to keep an eye on your competitors as to how much, if they are coming up with a new product, or if they are bringing about some changes in the new product, any change about, to keep it in to keep on with the competitive market which is existing in the outside world. Now, using technological showcases your communication skills, hence intensifies the need to communicate effectively. Now, these technological advances, the internet, the web camera, the video conferencing, etc., everything, all this shows or brings about your communication skills. When you're writing an email, if you have your command over the language is not so good, it will become very evident and obvious, and one email would probably be sent to a number of people. So your skills, your knowledge about the language will be an evident it will be showcased. And if you do not have that, your skills are not so good, you have making grammatical mistakes, and that's a negative impact. That will have a negative impact on your credibility and your position in the organization. Similarly, if you are communicating orally, if you make mistakes, and if you are coming up with errors constantly, your pronunciations, or maybe your grammatical errors, or your command over the language, anything, it becomes very evident because of the information technology, because it is being showcased, because number of people are watching you at the same time. So, if you are giving a presentation, for example, you would be giving a presentation to a wider audience. So all this becomes showcased, and because of this you need to sharpen and your communication skills even more than it was before. Now, what is the impact of culture and diverse workforce? The advances in technology helps companies cross national borders to find customers, materials, and money, leading to the market globalization. What is culture? Culture is a shared system of symbols, beliefs, attitudes, values, expectations, and norms of behavior. This is the way people are raised or grown up, the environment in which they grow up, or in the environment in which they have lived, helps shape their beliefs and mental perceptions, attitudes basically. People living who have grown up in America, people who have grown up in Japan, people who have grown up in India, in China, they have, because that's the system, they have the value system that they grow up with. They adapt those value systems, and they therefore it comes out in their work. Their techniques are working, their methods are working. So if you have a basic understanding of the different cultures, of the norms of the different cultures, the laws of the different cultures, you will be able to communicate with those people accordingly. You will be able to handle those people accordingly, because you need to be able to handle them to get, if you suppose you want to get some work out of them, you want them to, you sell them, you have to need your persuasive techniques. You have to adapt your marketing techniques, your persuasive techniques to your communicating techniques. You have to adapt to their cultural norms, the likes and dislikes, the attitude, the beliefs that they have in. The intercultural communication allows the transfer of information between people whose cultural backgrounds leads them to interpret their verbal and non-verbal cues differently. And employees therefore must understand the laws, customs and business practices of other countries and be able to communicate with them accordingly, appropriately. The basic purpose of communication is to convey information and idea in such a manner that it will produce a response as desired by the sender. When you are communicating, you're trying to get, as a manager, you are trying to get some work done from your subordinate. You will communicate to him. You expect him to do the work as per you have instructed him. Now, this is possible only if you have a shared understanding. That is, you are the receiver when you're communicating, and the person, you are the you are the sender, and the other person is a receiver. So what you are trying to communicate should be same as to what the receiver understands, what he has understood. So for that, you will have to adapt your message or your communication, whatever you are trying to say, the message in to the understanding of the receiver. You will have to try and communicate in the same manner, the same language you will have to try and use. The whole objective of the business communication in organization is to ensure effective functioning of the organization. That is the basic function. You want the organization to function effectively. For that, there has to be an effective and efficient flow of communication. The flow of communication in an organization should be fast, quick and efficient, so that the workflow does not stop, because the moment communication will stop, it will get hindered or blocked for some reason. The workflow will also stop. There will be pauses in the workflow. It will stop, and there will be breakages, and so this will affect the productivity and the efficiency of the functioning of the organization. Communication may be used in any of these following functions. These are some of the functions which we will be talking about. Any of these functions, communication will be used. To give and receive information, to provide advice. You need to provide advice in case if you feel the person is not functioning or working accordingly, or he is having problems in working or fitting into the environment, and or maybe you need to advise him to change his techniques of working for various reasons. You might need to, as a manager, to advise your subordinates, to provide counseling. Sometimes when people work together in an organization, there might be conflicts. Conflicts could arise between teams, within teams, between people who are working. These conflicts can create a very unpleasant atmosphere, the atmosphere does not become conducive for all the people to work together. And that is the situation when you might have to counsel the people. Plus, people might be having problems with other people working with them, whom they are working with. You might need to, as a manager, need to counsel them so that the organization keeps functioning smoothly and efficiently. Because when there are conflicts, when there are disputes between the people, there are grievances, then it affects the functioning of the organization. So you, as a manager, you might have to advise or counsel also to your subordinates. To issue orders and instructions, this is pretty evident. To impact education and training. There are times when new people join, you will have to impact education, or when they are getting a promotion, you are shifting their departments or promoting them to the next level, then they need to be trained appropriately so that they can handle their new mandate efficiently. Then there will be times that education is required. People sometimes go for MBAs, or you need to educate them how to handle the computer. You need to educate them how to write a efficient letter or effective, appropriate letter. For various reasons, as a manager, you might have to educate them and train them. To receive suggestions again. Now, this is another thing. You have to keep your mind open so that you are able to accept suggestions. To persuade people, this is the toughest part of the among the communication. To persuade people could be persuade them for certain action. For example, it could be a purchase action. You need people to buy the product or the services that you are selling, or you need to persuade your superiors to do a certain task in a certain way, because that is how it will affect it. You need to persuade people to do work, your subordinates also, to do the work in the way the process or the system that has been designed by the top management. People might, for example, it might be necessary for them to wear safety gloves at certain times, but they don't. They prefer working with their hands. Then to persuade them that no, that is for your safety. So at various levels, you will need to persuade people. To issue warnings and notices, this is required sometimes to keep people in check, to keep them to, if they are not performing their task, you try and persuade them to do that. You try and counsel them to do the work in the way you want them to. But if supposing even then they don't, then you have to issue warnings. They can be a warning on paper, and notices also. Sometimes when the performances are not up to the mark, or for people are misbehaving, they are getting into conflicts regularly, or they are regularly late or every day, then you have to, or their absenteeism is there, they are disappear without informing the authorities, then you have to give a show cause notice also at times. The show cause notices to show the cause for the reason for your absenteeism or delayed every day, coming late for work, etc. So all these, again, to maintain the discipline, you will might be needing to. All this requires good communication skills, mind you. To improve the morale of the people sometimes get low. Work can get very monotonous. The same work, the routine work which you keep doing, it can get very monotonous and boring. So you need, and sometimes the circumstances or the top management or the certain reasons, people can come up with a low morale. So you need, as a manager, to get your team to work efficiently and appropriately, effectively. You need to improve their morale all the time, to keep pushing them, motivating them, so that their high morale is maintained. To motivate people, again, to motivate people to work, to perform the tasks that are given to them, because the work can get monotonous and boring, and sometimes people get, for various reasons in organization, there is politics, there is power play, and besides the monotony of the work, then there are disputes and conflicts and differences between people. People sometimes have to work with people they do not like. So various reasons, as a manager, to keep your team together and to keep your team to function together, you need to motivate people. Improve discipline, because without discipline, the organizations cannot function. It will become a playground. So to improve discipline, again, you will have to give orders. You will have to, you can do that by the power and authority which has been given to you, to maintain discipline, so that the work is performed in time. Now, the word communication has been derived from Latin word communis, which means to share. Share what? Share the knowledge, share the information, share the message that is in your mind, that you want the other person to understand. So communication technically is defined as sharing information and ideas to create mutual understanding between people. You have to have a shared understanding. As a sender, whatever information, whatever message you are trying to send to the receiver, he should be able to understand that. So for that, you have to adapt your message to his level of understanding. So if he has not understood, if you're giving an instruction to do the work in a certain manner, if he has not understood, then there is no point in you're having given the message also, or sent the message, transmitted the message. Similarly, when you're sending the message across to your consumers, if the consumer is our children, then you have to adapt your advertisement or your message according to their outlook, according to their perception, so that it catches their attention and they're able to understand it. The language has to be such for their which is convenient for them to understand. Now, according to Newman and Summers, this is another definition: communication is an exchange of facts, ideas, opinions, or emotions by two or more persons. And Theo Hammond, on the other side, said that communication is a process of passing information and understanding from one person to another. To summarize what we have just discussed, communication is the exchange of information, ideas, opinions, and between two or more individuals. The growing size of organizations, increasing specializations, technological advancement, cutthroat competition, human relations, public relations makes it mandatory for an organization to have an effective communication network. The increase in international business dealings and in the diversity of the workforce has created communication challenges. Employees must be able to communicate with people of different cultural backgrounds. The objectives of organizational communication are to give and receive information, give advice, provide counseling, issue orders, educate and train, receive suggestions, persuade, motivate, discipline, and improve morale. That will be all. Thank you.